Hello everybody and welcome to the Storängen Bilvård 400 here live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, part of round 7 in the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy series for 2024. We've come to the location of our championship finale in the middle of December, only then it will be road course racing. This is the only time we'll be going in circles here this season. Myself, Ian Leary and Cam Roger with you to take you through the action. 100 laps, 400 kilometres, Cam, ahead of us tonight. If it goes green the entire way, it will only last just over an hour. We suspect, though, it'll be on for a little bit more than that in a very interesting only oval race of our Indy Series season.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of cautions with that, but I'm really looking forward to this one. We had some interesting racing a couple of weeks ago at Bilvård. We come to a completely different style of circuit and something that maybe some of these drivers will be used to with the oval. So I can't wait to see how it is. Of course, just one race tonight as well, Ewan. That's going to be crucial considering we normally have the two-race format.
Yeah, exactly. And race 2, especially at Bilvård last time out, was especially chaotic. Maybe we can get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, just the one tonight. We'll be going at Red Bull Ring and into Lagos before our final American round of the season. Of course, every fortnight we've got Indy Series racing. On every other week, it's Oval Series racing. And we're coming back here, I believe, in 1 week's time for the road course, the only road course of the Oval Series. So it's getting very confusing in these next couple of weeks. But not to worry, we'll mostly be on road courses from here on in this Indy series, of course. Let's have a look at how we stand after 6 races, because it is very interesting. Jesper Eriksson currently on the top as things stand. This is an overall points basis before the drop weeks are applied, so don't get confused next week when we next time when we show you standings without drop weeks. All of a sudden everyone's very different. Linus Broström is in second with Marcus Hagman in third, Alexander Oates, Daniel Holmer next with Dominik Sawicki, Melvin Kesson, Hagenschott, Peter Helmbro and Oliver Bohlin rounding out the top 10 in the standings for the moment. 6 rounds gone, as I say, in this series. So that's what we're looking at the moment. Still 7 races to go. The qualifying is just underway, and as is traditional, Cam, in IndyCar or Indy 500 racing, I should say, we're doing 4 laps average qualifying, which is very odd, I think, but it probably worked for this circuit because there is so little difference you can make actually over a single lap.
Absolutely. It's so short, just 40 seconds long. 1 lap, you're literally going to see 1,000th of a second between some positions. So when it's at least 4 laps, there's potential maybe there's 4,000 between each of them. And the biggest thing, Ewan, is the drop-off over the course of the run. Of course, generally your first, second lap, they're the fastest ones. Then in lap 3 and 4, the pace does drop off. And it's those who can keep the speed going and don't just overheat the tyres and work it too hard in the first opening sections. They'll be the ones who, of course, come out on top. I actually do like the format. Of course, it's a little bit more difficult to follow as such, but certainly it gets a more proper result, in my opinion. Yeah,
I agree. But it is difficult to follow, as you say. So the strengths and weaknesses of each format. At the moment, Oliver Bohlin has the best time, but even this, I think this shows at the moment on the left-hand side quite why we need 4 laps average qualifying rather than just fastest lap you can do. Qualifying just 5,000ths of a second between Oliver Bohlin and Oliver Hagström as well, who's in second place as things stand. Of course, a race winner 2 weeks ago at Bilvård. That is after 4 laps on average. They are just separated by 5,000ths of a second. So it is really remarkable and does show you quite why we need that. 8 drivers covered within less than 1/10 of a second as well. But I think qualifying is pretty underrated as far as these races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway go. Not necessarily in the Indy 500 because you've got 200 laps, but you've only got 100 here. And I feel like this race is going to go by a lot quicker than everyone's expecting.
Oh, if we stay green for quite a while, it will certainly go by very quickly indeed. And this is going to be quite a crazy race, I think, of how it's going to work. It's going to be a difficult one, I would say, for the drivers to keep it calm over the course of the race. With 100 laps, Ewan, as well, we'll be expecting a good couple of pit stops. And I think the strategy with when maybe they come in at the certain times of the caution, that is obviously going to be judging the victor at the end of the day. I don't think we're going to say green for long enough that someone can just drive away.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that's caught my eye, actually, as we were looking at the race information, and it was a bit more different to what you'd expect normally on the road series, obviously because we've got just one race and many other different things as well. But the thing that really stuck out to me was that we've got 6 tyre sets here. Now, if you average that out, that's less than 20 laps per set you need to use them for. That suggests to me a lot of ability for drivers to come in under caution and put some new tyres on. It would be about whether you want to give up the track position to do that or not, I suppose. You're not going to be running out of tyres, I wouldn't have thought, by the end of the day.
Oh no, so they do have plenty of options on that, and that means when you get a caution, you're going to have to come in. Everyone's going to be jumping down to get those fresh tyres, and just to get a bit of an indication on the speed as well that we're doing, to do a 40-second flat average time around here, the speed is 360 kilometers an hour or 223 miles an hour average speed. So if you know what the reference is around here, that is fairly fast.
Very, very quick indeed, and of course means that accidents are quite high speed as well, if we indeed get some over the course of the day. Jesper Ohman is the driver we're following at the moment. He's one of the only drivers out there on the circuit, but I'm slightly concerned that he's not going to have enough time to finish his lap times here. And I suppose he's on lap 3, so he might just about have enough time to get there, but he's left it very, very late indeed. Because a long-time sim racer, Jesper Ohman. You'll know the Formula Sim Racing series very well, Cam. He used to race in that back in the 2000s, so it's been a very long time indeed. When I said that once on the broadcast, I usually said that can't be true. Made me doubt myself, but
well, people have been around a long time now, that's for sure. Sim racing's been going, 25 years basically.
Am I allowed to say us as well?
Oh yeah, 10 years for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. 8 for me, so there you go. Not on iRacing, of course. Obviously, not people won't know me, but yeah, in sim racing as a whole, coming up to 9 years, dearie me. Anyway, where's life going? Yeah, just under a minute remaining in the session, and Jesper Ohman is close to finishing his lap time. Slightly concerned about the fact he's got no lap 1 or 2 at the moment. I don't know whether that's just graphics at the moment, or whether that means he's hit the wall or something. But anyway, he's on what should be his final lap here, as meanwhile Mark Stiller just completed his lap time. You might have seen it on the left-hand side, but he did move up to 15th place. What about Jesper Ohman here in the number 2? Does he move up, and does this count? Oh, it certainly does! Goodness me! Jesper Ohman has gone quicker than anybody else with a 39.9. That's quite astonishing.
That absolutely is the only driver in the 39s. Quite a few drivers not setting runs actually at the bottom of the field, but he gets it done with literally seconds to go, and he is going to take the pole position in that number 2 car. And guess who has won the Indy 500 the last couple of years? The number 2 car.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the pole sitter. No, okay. Number 2. Okay, good symmetry there, maybe, as Jesper Ohman gets himself onto the front of this grid and starts from the front ahead of Oliver Bohlin. And Oliver Hagström, who I said earlier on, was a winner 2 weeks ago. Oscar Fredriksson, the best of the Sim Race Sweden cars, in 4th place. It's the first time that's happened for a while. Matthias Strauss and Melvin Atkinson round out the front 3 rows, with Robin Östlund and Mikko Sundström on row 4. Albin Manson and Jesper Eriksson round out the top 10, with Marcus Hagman and Oscar Motin on row 6. Then it is Henrik Lindhoff, who is currently tied on top of the standings with Edvin Forsland. He's 13th, ahead of Daniel Holmer, Nicholas Helm and Marcus Stiller, who are on row 8. Stiller with that late lap time, of course. Tony Uven, the Finn, is in 17th, ahead of Kenneth Teer in 18th place. Further back, at 19th for Hacken Schott, with Pontus Wetterstedt in the last spot inside the top 20. Philip Hahn and Braun Brostrom are on row 11 ahead of Sami Josensu. And in 24th is Alexander Olsen. In 25th, Cedric Holmbom with Robert Eriksson alongside him, Peter Helmbro, Jörg Forrest, Christopher Dalston, Kasper Björk. They've all not set times here, by the way, along with Anders Carlson and Kalle Wallingstam, who haven't set times either. So 32 drivers on the grid as we have a look at our Indy Series. Danny, these are what I was expecting to see. Tied at the moment between Lindhoff and Forsland on 192. They're the 2 runaway favourites at the moment, I've got to say. Oscar Fredriksson, Oliver Hagström, 3rd and 4th, ahead of Daniel Holm. Bit of a gap back to Melvin Kesson in 6th place. I think that's meant to say just ahead of Robin Stulland. Then it's Even Lindholm Jesper Eriksson and Cedric Holmberg. Of course, Eriksson had a poor Belle Isle, given he missed a couple of rounds. Those will be his drop week. That was pretty damaging for him. So that's where we are at the moment. There's the event format. We've briefly touched on it there in the bottom right-hand side. Won't touch on the championship standings, though, Cam, because we didn't get a chance to talk about them earlier. Lindhoff and Forsund tied on points as things stand in first and second. That's a great sign for us going forward into the final 7 rounds of this championship, starting today, which I think is going to be a bit of survival for those looking to win the title.
Absolutely, and it's looking quite interesting because Lindhoff has 2 wins versus Forsund's 1, and also 2 pole positions, but Forsund has more bonus points, 20 compared to the 13 of Lindhoff. So that's how he's clawed those extra points back. So very interesting how that one works out over the course of the first few seasons, and races of the season, I should say. But let's see how it goes today. It's going to be a completely different style of race for what we are going to see over the course of the season with all the road courses and the street tracks, and now they've got to go oval racing. Of course, plenty of them will have experience in this, but it sure is something different and about twice the average speed they will be seeing for the rest of the season.
Forsund, by the way, is not here tonight, so I'm not sure how that matches up with his drop weeks, but anyway, that will have to be factored in at the end of the evening, and we're still not going to really know who's the favourite to win this title, as it should be, of course. They make their way around turn 3 and 4 then. This circuit used for the Indianapolis 500 since 1911, been going well over 100 years now, over 100 editions as well of that race. Well, we're doing half of that tonight, making up 400 kilometres here tonight in the Storängen Bilvård 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. From the front field, Jesper Åhman's very late lap indeed gets him the pole, and pretty much immediately as the pace truck pulls to the left-hand side and goes down pit lane, Jesper Åhman surprises everyone by getting this race underway immediately. The green flag waves at Indianapolis, and he's got car lengths over the rest of the field in towards turn 1 very first time. Oliver Bohlin holds on to second place. It's side by side for third between Fredriksson and Hagström. They get themselves sorted out with Fredriksson getting up into third place.
And we're pretty single file up towards the front, but now we fan out, go too wide as drivers try and make some moves down in towards turn 3 for the first time, of asking big sense to the inside there from a couple of the Sim Race Sweden cars as they try and work their way through. Up into the wall though, that was way too fast into turn 3. There might have been Eriksson in the 37, so much risk already on lap 1.
I think it was. I think that was Jesper Eriksson, who can ill afford these kind of races, I'm afraid. As we go 3 wide, meanwhile in the background, Henrik Lindhoff coming through here and looking for a top 10 through the middle. He does get his top 10. Eriksson will still be wilting, I'm afraid, from smashing the wall. That's got to have done some damage.
Yeah, he's going to be losing out here. A bit of a slower car on his backside as well. So he come out from turn 2 for another time of asking. And that is Marcus Hagström in the 12 machine. He's going to get the run. Bit of a bump draft from in behind as well. He's going to be loving that one. I think that is Motin trying to push him through. And that's big wide again. He's definitely got damage on that car.
He has, and he can't get down low to get in the pit lane, which is the main problem here. He's running around the top and cannot get down because there are so many coming past him. Look at this, 3 wide again as they all fan out on the front straight to end the second lap. He's trying to lift off and left everybody through, I think, here, and just get in the pit lane, get this car repaired. But as he continues to run around the top, he continually can't get down, and he keeps smacking the wall, damaging his car even further.
He's going to lose so much time doing a green flag pit stop, but let's say he's also going to do lose a load of time just by driving, as this gets very close. Coming with the MHE racing cars in the back there trying to get past him. Hopefully he does come through the the escape road on the inside, and he's certainly going to do that. But that is a big twist in the tail potentially from a driver who you'd be expecting to be contending for this championship.
Well, you would have at the start of the season, but I'm afraid it's been a difficult season so far. He's only been at 4 of the rounds, which means his 2 that he's missed will automatically be his drop week. He doesn't have anything to fall back on, and he's struggled, I'm afraid, in a couple of the rounds we've seen so far. It struggled in the second race at Silverstone, struggled a little bit in the second race at Belle Isle as well, and he's struggling in the only race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval 2. It is a tricky start to the season for him. As we have a brief look at Jock Fritz there back in the pack, that's a bit of a view as to what those in the midfield can see. But further up front, it's been a lot calmer of a start. The top 9 initially got away, but actually others have joined them, and they're single file with Jesper Åhman leading the pack around to finish at 4 laps of the 100.
It's so awesome to see these cars flying around at well over 200 miles an hour, but they're obviously in a battle for themselves. To find a way through is fairly difficult, though, when you get into this situation where it's a bit more calm, because everyone's getting a big slipstream off each other, but it's all about keeping that speed. Is nowhere near flat out, especially in race trim. Big lift off into the corners, especially in turns 1 and turn 3, and that's where the driver's balancing the car and trying to keep the car in the window. That's a bit wide there as well. From the car in 5th place, that is Strauss, as he tries to avoid the dirty air, I think.
Yeah, Matthias Strauss looking for a way around the outside and getting a run now to the inside, in towards 1 and 2. Not quite able to get through on Oliver Hagström, who's currently in the 4th position, behind of Fredriksson, who overtook him on the start, of course, and he's got a decent run now as well. The slipstream so powerful, of course, in these Indy cars, and the long straights, this 4-kilometre circuits does allow you to slipstream your rivals, and here he goes up the inside for Oliver Hagström. They get close through turn 3, and Fredriksson now has got to be careful he doesn't get Freight Train stuck on the outside, and he does get down low again.
I thought he was going to be absolutely sent off into the wall there. Aggressive move by the 811 machine as he works his way up into 3rd place, and now Strauss is looking feisty as well. It's crazy how quickly things change here, because at one moment we thought Hagström was going to be down to 5th, and now he's up into 3rd place, trying to chase down the top 2. Definitely don't want to let them get away, because bridging a gap without the slipstream is going to be very, very difficult today.
Pontus Wurtestedt has also made an early stop, by the way. Jesper Eriksson still getting repairs done, and I'm afraid there might be a few more repairs happening in a few moments' time, because we've got our first caution of the evening. It comes on lap 7, and at the moment I'm seeing Alexander Olsen go back to pit. I wonder whether he is involved or whether he just made a untimely pit stop there, or maybe a timely one if you can still that, but it's not. It's a long stop, I'm afraid, for him. And so that's the drivers already off of the lead lap. Alexander Olsen is indeed involved. It's a 3-wide moment. We've seen them get away with a couple of those so far, but not this one.
Yeah, it was his teammate, the 10 of Holmbaum, on the inside of a 3-wide situation. So difficult to judge for everyone involved there. And in the end, it was contact between the teammates. Olsen sent off into the wall. Crazy to see 3 wide. Such risk already just on lap 7 of the race. It was 100 to come this evening. But certainly they're trying to just find their space in the pack. This is a good time, though, for drivers to save a bit of fuel, work out what they're going to do. Is anyone going to already take those fresher tyres, or is it too early?
I was going to ask you that. I was going to say too early as well, to be honest. I would suggest that you want to keep a set of tyres back for the end of the race. I always say that in oval racing. Whether it's worth it or not, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, so that would mean you want to split the race into 5ths, really, which that would be 20 laps each, and we're nowhere near that. We're not even halfway there yet, but we could see some. I bet we're going to see a lot of people pretending to pit. Let's have a look at this.
He comes down pit road. Obviously, you can jump out the way quite late, but he stays. So from the lead of the race, from pole position, he comes down already. That is a big call, especially as only Strauss and a couple of other cars come in behind. So he's going to go basically to the back of the line and only have 8 lap fresher tyres, 9 lap fresher tyres. Obviously, if everyone came in, it makes sense. But I guess as the leader, you don't have the choice of seeing what everyone else does.
I don't like this call particularly, but there you go. Jesper Åhman, makes his stop. Plenty of pit lane, but there you see the length of stop. He wasn't stopped there. Did he even go up on the jacks? I'm not sure. 4.9 seconds for Jesper Åhman there. Whether he's taken new tyres or not, and I don't know, but whether he has or not, surely that's way too much track position to give up, as you say, for only each lap, effectively 7 green flag laps of tyre life.
See, the fuel games are so difficult because it also depends how we have cautions later on. So even if he just takes fuel, he's topped up, he can go longer. So he has, say we have a long green flag run, he has a chance that everyone makes their green flag pit stops, potentially goes a lap down, he's out in the front with those extra 9 laps, and then a caution comes out, he benefits from that. Or even if there's a caution and everyone pits at the same time, he will still have less fuel to put in the car, so he'll have a shorter stop that way. So there's a few ways it can work in his favour, but you never know obviously how the race is going to progress. And if we have one of those sort of mid-length green flag stints, then he'll just be balanced out, pitting at the same time as everyone. So it's a very interesting call, but maybe it will work. But it's certainly going to take a few laps, maybe, you know, tens of laps for that one to work out.
Yeah, exactly, and it's all well and good saving the fuel and whatever, but I think there's not much point having fuel if you're riding around at the back, seeing the leaders get further and further away and you're unable to make your way through the field. I mean, I've been pretty impressed in that first run, actually, how easy it was to overtake compared to what I thought it was going to be. So maybe that has surprised a few as well and enthused them a little bit to go down the field. And after all, Oman's only 20th, you know, he's not last. Because I suppose those very near the back will have decided, well, I'm last anyway, I might as well come and get some fuel. So they have also tucked in behind Oman, but even so, to drop 19 places in a pit stop window, I think is far too many, and we'll see if it pays off. I'm wondering whether he can make this, if we were in the unlikely occasion of us going green to the end from here, would he be able to do just one more stop with 90 to go at the moment? It's sort of around there, 40-45 laps, so I don't know specifically how long they can go on fuel.
Yes, I guess we'll have to see how many cautions bring that out. But yeah, if we go green, I would say it's possibly a bit too far just for that. But even if he doesn't, it'll be a very small splash and dash at the end.
Yeah, I thought 40 laps was the norm, but maybe I'm using old metrics there, of course. I know this car's not exactly that new, but even so, I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out. I suspect we might not need to know actually tonight because of the cautions. Anyway, yeah, I suspect so. But anyway, let's see. Of course, we do have an hour 40 time limit, so maybe that will come into play as well. Depends, of course, how many cautions we get. I reckon we've got a good 35 minutes to play with under caution, so plenty of time remaining to complete the 90 laps left in this race. 100 scheduled at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here this evening in the Storängen Bilvård 400 in the Indy series. We're green flag racing again. Terrible restart, I'm afraid, for Sundström, who was sleeping there, and look at the gap he's created.
No one, of course, could overtake him at the time, so they've all been held up, and this is a 5-car breakaway at the front, and here goes Oliver Hagström Vigashu to the inside as we come up towards turn 3. Easily made the position from Oliver Bohlin, who jumps down in towards second place. In the background, there's the contact off into the wall. Augustin is going to go shortly. No, he saves it and keeps it out.
I have no idea how he's not found himself in the wall there at all, Melvin Atkinson. That was unbelievable. And now as they make their way onto the front straight, he is going to be caught, but goodness me, he was close to finding the barrier in the background. Jesper Oman, meanwhile, has made up one place already down in the back of the pack. He's just ahead of Nicholas Helm now. That's 19th and 20th place, way back in the picture you will have seen on the front straight shot there. As we get onto the back straight again, will Oliver Hagström hold on to this lead? Will Oliver Bohlin decide that second place is the place to be as things stand? Meanwhile, we go back to Oman. He is going to be scything his way through the field from 20th, don't forget, on this restart.
And now he's going to go up the inside there. That's another move done. He's got to be cautious in some ways, though. He's got to be aggressive, I guess, but then also decisive. He can't go for any silly moves. Should have this one done potentially down into turn 1, as he had the much better line of momentum as we came out of that final corner, and certainly does up the inside. That should be another move. He's going to have to work for it, though. Up the inside there. It's not going to be easy, and that is a very difficult situation. He might actually lose out of this position as he has to come down to the inside to avoid that one.
Someone's in the wall, and it is Marcus Stiller and Kalle Wellingstrom, I'm afraid. They're both in the wall. I wonder whether that is a related incident or not, but Marcus Stiller certainly the most damaged. Wellingstrom has given up and he's stopped at turn 2. You will have seen his sort of light blue in the background, and Stiller, I'm afraid, is, well, very damaged from this one. He might scrape his way home, but that's probably doing more damage than good. That front right wheel is in a place I've not seen for quite some time.
Yeah, definitely a big hit on the right-hand side of that car, and we stay green for just about 3 laps or so. And interesting to see, there's Wellington still stuck on the outside of 2, so this might be a bit of a long caution while he sorts himself out, and potentially might need to just get a tow back to the pit lane. Let's see. Well, That's a bit unlucky for all of those involved, because I don't think that contact was what it should have been. And then Wallingston was a bit of collateral damage there.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think Wallingston was in something almost completely separate, as they were all trying to avoid. Someone there went right round the outside of him, and I don't know who it was, but they got exceptionally close to the barrier there. I think they were battling with Ullman, because we saw it as we were riding on board with him. This is what happened to Wallingston. Yeah, he was indeed shoved to the outside by somebody there, I'm afraid. And that is no fault, I don't think, of Colin Wallingston. So not directly involved with Stiller, but I think a result of Stiller going slowly was that everyone was scattering to avoid him. The end result was that Wallingston found himself in the wall. Are there any takers this time? Not from the top 10.
Now, when you have two cautions close like that, it doesn't really make sense to go in back-to-back. But maybe if someone else wants to try come in, we'll have to see if they do. So a few drivers. So Jesper Ullman comes in for another time. I don't know if we saw any damage there, or maybe he is just continuing on. He's like, I'm at the back anyway. I might as well just continue on with this strategy.
I would even contest that he's at the back. I mean, this loses him another 10 places to top on to the 19 he lost caution. So he's putting himself even further back now. This is 25th that he'll be now, if indeed he gets out ahead of everybody else. And I think he's taking tyres this time. It was 8.4 seconds. We didn't see the stop, but I think he's taking tyres this time, because it was 8.4 seconds. And so he is still the first out of those who pitted. But, you know, it's sorry, those who are on the lead lap, only 4 have pitted. He's in a real minority there, and I'm just not sure putting himself at the back constantly is, you know, the best place to do it. I mean, you're more likely to be involved in the kind of stuff we've just seen bring out another caution.
Absolutely, but I mean, he's committed now, and as you say, 25th position, that is a lot of work to do. If we get a long green flag run, though, and we end up with these drivers who have not stopped yet, we end up with those coming into the pit lane, he stays out, effectively takes the race lead. If there's a caution at that point, it could be good for him, but you're still waiting on a miracle for something like that. So it's the long game now, as we have 85 laps for him to work that one out.
We do. Plenty of time remaining in this race, and there will be at least another lap under caution. Surprised to learn that Stiller and Wallingston are still having pretty long repairs at the moment. Jesper Eriksson has come in again, but that's for a normal stop this time round. He's actually overtaken Alexander Olsen now. It's only 5 laps down, so it's not impossible for him to get himself back into the fray, or at least get himself, which will be very much required. But you don't get fast repairs in this series, and I suspect some of the repairs from some of the accidents we've seen so far will take a very long time indeed.
Yeah, 11 minutes already for Alexander Olsen, who was, of course, sent into the barrier on the exit of 1, causing that first caution. So the duct tape and the zip ties haven't quite done the job there. They've got a little bit more to do, and he will continue on, hopefully, with those repairs and try and get back out. As you say, with Eriksson, if there's more and more cautions, he might be able to get himself back on the lead lap with how it's looking. So never count anything out for him coming back, maybe on lap 100 for a final lap charge. But for Olsen being 9 laps down, that's starting to get a bit too much.
I would say so, considering he doesn't seem that close to finishing his repairs either at the moment. In terms of those real championship contenders, by the way, and where they are, Forsland isn't here, so it's difficult to comment on him. Henrik Lindhoff, who then is leading the championship, I would say, is 8th at the moment. Oscar Fredriksson, you can see, is placed exactly where he is in the championship. In 3rd place, Oliver Hagström's 4th in the championship. 1st in this race at the moment. I was going to say 2nd, but that was the previous restart. He's now leading, of course. Daniel Holmer's 5th in the standings. He is a bit further down in the further in the pack, so has got some work to do, but he has moved up 2 places to 12th so far. So let's see what happens on this restart. Still 84 laps to go in the Storängen Bilvård 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Oliver Hagström this time is tasked with getting this restart underway. 3 different restarts and starts and 3 different drivers to take us to the green flag again. And it's Oscar Fredriksson who's looking the punchiest initially here. Through turn 2 they go. Is his run good enough on Oliver Bohlin, who's weaving round trying to get the slipstream of Hagström? He's got to be careful weaving round too much, of course, as they go single file. A bit further back, we've got side by side as Henrik Lindhoff tries to get past Manson into 7th place. It looks like he might get that done, although it's not over, in towards turn 4.
Oh, it's certainly not, as the pair get very close coming down onto the front straightaway. Huge defensive manoeuvres to the inside. Everyone wants to keep this track position. Is he going to be able to hold on? Of course, Lindhoff, your only 2-time race winner so far this season in the 6 races that we've had, and looking very strong. But Manson not quite enough there to get through, and Lindhoff's actually been able to hold on. It's so difficult to follow through turns 1 and 3, being so fast, entering after the long straights.
It's such a unique racetrack here, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and very interesting indeed to see initially what's going on here. Hopefully we get a nice green flag run together now. Sort of the race was decent, but the second run, I'm afraid, was cut short, and this one is as well. The 3rd turn strikes again, and we've got cars in the wall down there, I'm afraid. Helm is one of them who's at least held up by it. Tony Uvernen as well, I think, has also been held up. It's a stop-start first 20 laps to this race.
Yes, no one's really settled in just yet. We've only had a maximum of really, a handful of laps under green flag. Let's see this. Helm on the inside. Contact is made, and a huge contact into the wall on the outside for that yellow machine. I didn't quite see who it was. Might have been Tony Uvernen actually involved in that one, but unfortunately it's a 55 of Helm, and it just shows you how difficult it is to really judge the space you have to give each other and how much more you have to slow down when you're side by side.
No, Tony Uvernen was involved in a separate one. So he was already slowing down because he saw what was going on ahead of him. He got rear-ended there, did Tony Uvernen. So that's why he's down pit lane. So it was someone else who was side by side with Nicholas Helm, who still, by the way, is going around and continuing on. He's got a lot less damage than Tony Uvernen has, put it that way. Let's see how many pit this time round then. The 3rd caution of the day. All things being equal, this would have been the first caution I would have considered pitting, but as you said earlier, it's not very appetising when there have been so many cautions in such quick succession, although I think in the second half of the field, this is the one that has been really taken up by a lot of drivers, and even Hagman from the top 10's in. Yes,
if you're at the back, you might as well pit, especially if loads of them pit, because then you'll be able to basically keep your position. And I believe the other car involved was Philip Harner in the yellow 66 machine. He was the one involved with the 55 Helm, but he seemed to be going on, though he's got into the pit lane now. So Jesper Ullmann once again comes down pit road. He just loves coming down and seeing his mechanics this time around. Marcus Hogman, Kenneth Tier, Helm, Jon Broström, Dahlstrand, Jonsu, Carlson, Uvernen, all those drivers still in the pit lane, and Jesper Eriksson is still out there, and he's got a lap back. He's just 4 laps down.
Yeah, Ullmann must have his mates in the pit lane or something, because he's wants to visit them quite a lot. Anyway, that's the 3rd stop of his day so far. Do you think that or do you think this is a natural symptom of racing here, or do you think everyone's been a little bit over-ambitious here in the first 20 laps of this race, and the first 80 kilometres or so of this race, to course 3 cautions in 20 laps, which is quite a lot?
A little bit of both, I would say. I do think maybe a little bit more caution in terms of the approach from the drivers could have been had. There's been a couple of silly side-by-side moments that have ended up in the crash. For instance, the first one was a 3-wide moment on just lap 7 of the race. That's not quite something you would advise doing. So maybe they do need to be a little bit more cautious. At the end of the day, a race like this is all about getting to those last 5 or 10 laps. What happens before that is really, just keeping yourself in the ballpark. So you don't need to take that much risk. I guess if you're further behind, you want to go forward, for sure, but you still want to be there when it counts at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very stop-start opening to this race, unfortunately. I think gradually the 3 green flag runs have actually got shorter as we've been going along somehow. But there you go. I do hope I think there's two ways in which this can go now. Either these three cautions sort of knock them on the head 3 times, like a big smack in the face, and they all think, right, we've got to really settle in here and get sorted. Or it could just descend into complete chaos, and it sort of everyone sees it as an opportunity to move forward again because there's another restart. I think that this next restart might be quite important for the sort of future of the race almost.
Oh, definitely. It's also getting to the point where those who have not stopped, which just to be clear is the top 12 now going down to Jocke Frisk in the 25 car, they've all not stopped. And it will obviously get to a point, as you say, around that lap 40, where they'll probably end up stopping now because they have to. So that's going to change things quite a lot with how we view the end of the race, and also working out how they get to the end from that point. It's already at a point really where they can do one more stop for those who just stopped, but for those who stayed out, obviously it really depends how far we go and how much they need to stretch it.
I think the top 12 could certainly do with the long green flag run here, but let's see if they get it, as Oliver Harkstrom becomes the first driver to see the flag first twice. That makes any sense. He restarts us with still 79 to go in this race. The 100 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this evening has provided us with lots of cautions so far. Let's see if we can get some green flag laps together, as Oliver Wallin's got a great restart together here. Very close off of turn 2. He's got the perfect run already with a long way to go. Harkstrom is defending and weaving around almost as if it's the end of the race. Not quite just yet. Oliver Wallin decides that second place is the place to be.
And that keeps the 3 cars behind in check as well. But once again, it's a top 5 little breakaway. Although we are seeing Sundström in behind that's in the P6 at the moment actually catch back up. And it's crazy how fast they get up to speed with these cars. And coming in towards turn 1 for another time basking in the background, we are seeing a bit of a side-by-side moment, as it looks like it's going to be Östlund having a battle for that 4th place. But Wilkinson can't get through.
And that was very close indeed for Henrik Lindhoff, who's been steadily making places. Made one on the last restart, of course, on Manson. Trying to do the same here. Side by side, a bit further back in the field. This is outside the top 10. This is for the top spot of those who have pitted. Matthias Strauss is holding out at the moment. Cedric Hornbaum trying to chase him as he tries to get past Hagen Short in towards turn 3. Not quite able to do that, although he's still there on the way towards 4. This is costing them quite a lot of time as Strauss continues to get up front. Helmbro will close in, so will Robert Eriksson, Casper Bjork as well, as they make their way down towards turn 1.
And Holbom's been trying this for about half a lap now, and he's finally sealed the deal on the exit of turn 1. And with that, they've actually lost a huge amount of time to the cars ahead. They've probably even lost the slipstream from this top pack now, which is the top 11 in the race. And that is not the ideal situation for them because, of course, when you lose the slipstream, you can literally just lose a lap time here and then. You can never get it back. Side by side, further in the background as well, almost cars up into the wall as they start pushing the limits.
I think there was a scrape along the wall there, but whoever's in white there, a bit further back, might be Jocke Frisk actually, who's suffering a bit with. Oh no, sorry, it's Bjork in the 16th place. Just behind him is Jocke Frisk, who's really starting to struggle with old tyres, I think, compared to those around. Jesper Åhman's in here, by the way things stand. I really think his call to pit under the first 2 cautions has not been the best one, because he's not even the best of those who have pitted so far in this race just yet. In fact, he's a good 6 positions behind the best driver who has. Yeah, he's pitted at every time. Varsky is, that is coming up high in front of one of the superior cars, as that was so close indeed. This is crazy. This is Jesper Åhman, who we are on board with. It's Robert Eriksson in the 35. He was the one who was always sent up into the wall. And let's see what Åhman can do down towards turn 1. That should be a nice easy move up the inside. I don't think Eriksson's going to fight that too hard on the outside line. We do have banking here, but it's more of just a little bit of a help rather than a track where you can just go around the outside, as we have a slow car coming off the exit of turn 1. Is that one of the cars a lap down there? It might just be. I think it is. There's plenty of them. The field, in fact, only 24 still on the lead lap. That's a quarter of the field already a lap down, I'm afraid, or more in most cases in this race. Just 9 degrees of banking around here, by the way, and as you say, it's certainly not like Daytona where you don't have to think about turning because the banking is so steep. Does make it a challenge, although just ease you along a little bit. There is Matthias Strauss, who is the best of those who have pitted so far, looking at the back of Dan Holmer now and looking for a top 10 place for the first time since he pitted.
And that would be certainly a nice, a nice place to be, to start taking down these drivers who have not stopped and showing that the pit stops are worth it. But the longer the green flag run goes on, is that going to be good for those who haven't stopped yet? Because, of course, they can go so far in the race that they take less fuel later on. Or is it good for those who did stop and they can work their way through with the slightly fresher tyres? We'll have to find out which is going to be the better strategy as we're on to lap 28 of 100, who had a caution-filled first few stints of the race. But now maybe we're settling in, hopefully.
Getting close to the longest green flag run of the day so far on lap 28, although I won't speak too soon at the moment because of the start of the race we've seen in towards turn 3 for Strauss as he chases those ahead. Side by side, a bit further back. This is Bjork again, I think, who's going side by side. This time it is with Helmbrow, I think it is. For 15th place in the field. Ullman in the darker shade on the left-hand side of the road, squeezing Bjork as much as possible, almost into the wall, and Bjork forced to go around the long way, but the outside, big crash up ahead, huge crash, and Ullman has to go right up to the left side to avoid. It's another caution, I'm afraid, and the biggest crash yet, arguably, for two drivers who were just outside the top 10, I think.
Yeah,
who was it dropping down the field though? Hackenschott and Cedric Holmbaum, yeah.
Yes, the 101 of Hackenschott for Brighty Sports and the 10 for Sim Race Sweden. They were involved. Huge wreck on the exit of 2. So it's Hackenschott dives to the inside there, and we see the 10 giving some nice space. Shot actually does come quite wide. A huge hit into the fence. That car is going to be done for the day. And yeah, he just wasn't able to keep it down to the apex. The 10 gave him plenty of space and up into the air. Massive hit.
Mate, I wouldn't like to see that on board from Shaw. That was quite a crash. And Cedric Holmbaum's car is so damaged, by the way, he doesn't actually have any control over where it's going. Just sliding down the road like a sled down a hill in the winter time. That was quite remarkable. Well, that's the biggest crash of the day, I'm afraid. And, here we go. On board with Shot. He just gets caught on that front left tyre of Holmbaum. And, thank goodness this isn't real life, because that would have been very nasty.
Yeah, I'd like to see it from the 10s on board as well, because we did see Shot. He just had a tiniest bit of understeer as he went in. But it looked like Holmbaum was already losing the rear end. So I want to see this with just how, as you see, he leaves plenty of space. Oh, there's already some contact at that point, so it must have been Shot's rear or like the middle of the car that hit the back end of the 10. So I would say that is more on the 101, just not able to keep it down to the apex, taking in a little bit too much speed.
Well, it's going to be pit stop time now, as the drivers who haven't stopped yet surely are all in. Surely Oliver Hagström hasn't stayed out here, but it looks like he has. He has it. This is a big call, I think, from the 811, who still hasn't stopped yet in this race, and some other could join him here. Mikael Sundström, Armin Manson, all stay out as well. Everybody else in this race has pitted. Not this time necessarily, but at least a time in this race. Pulling right to the end there is Oliver Bohlin in the main part of your screen. He has to reverse. That's a disaster for him. And go down the gate. Oh, he's still not into his box. This is a catastrophic pit stop for Oliver Bohlin, and he's surely going to lose his lead on the race off pit lane here. It's going to be Fredriksson first, followed by Robin Östlund. Jesper Öhmansen again. He can't stay out the pit lane, but he's now 10th at least. And, that was, I'm afraid, a major error for Oliver Bohlin, who...
Absolutely. So this is where Jesper Öhman gets some gain, because he gained about between 3 to 5 seconds on the pit stop compared to everyone else. So that is how he's been able to gain up a few positions there. But then alternatively, it was Oliver Bohlin who had the longer stop by those sort of 4 or 5 seconds, and that's how he lost those places. So it's weird how you get the swings and roundabouts with this strategy side of things. But the top 3 ironically, they're all teammates, so this is a team decision to stay out. I guess what they're seeing, Ewan, is there's been cautions so frequently, they think they can get one more caution in before they have to stop on the fuel. So that could be quite an interesting one, but I don't think everyone behind them will then pit at that stop either. So they're just going to go back to the pack like we saw with Jesper earlier.
Yeah, two theories to throw at you here, and you can tell me if I'm being a bit conspiratorial. But anyway, maybe they're expecting there to be so many cautions in this race, they think they can just do this on one stop, and by that I mean they might be able to pit before lap 50 and still make it home because of the time difference. And if indeed there are so many cautions, they can continue stealthing their way up the field here into maybe not 1, 2 and 3. That would be an absolutely dreamy situation, but at least up towards the front for the three of them. And they've realised, I think, as well, that track position is very important for staying out of crashes, but actually Jesper Åhman has shown that it is not easy to get through even on newer tyres. Jesper Åhman's made 4 stops so far. He's still 2 positions behind Fredriksson, who just made his first.
That's a crazy stat right there. I mean, you never know. You never know with strategy, because it really depends how the race plays out. Some people's strategies will work if we go green to the end, and some people's strategies will work if we end up having 3 cautions or more to the end. So it's a tough one to predict, but keeping yourself at the front isn't necessarily a bad idea, though. It keeps you out of trouble, you're good on the restarts, and at the end of the day, you're leading the race.
I think for Hagström as well, especially when you've got 2 teammates as rear gunners, effectively, they're not quite going to sacrifice their own races in the name of his, but they will be a bit of an obstacle for Strauss at the very least in these opening restart laps. So let's see how this one plays out. It's getting interesting here at Indianapolis. We are nearly a third of the way through the Storängen Bilvård 400 here for round 7 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy series. Let's see how we go on this restart. It's not very organised at the back, I'm afraid, as you can see. But anyway, Oliver Hagström's ready to go, and so are we. Green flag waves again, and the 3 teammates are going to try and race away with the advantage that they hold. Strauss is the first of the drivers who has pitted so far in this race. In fact, it's only the top 3 who have not yet pitted in this race through 32 laps. Onto the back straight they go. Lindhoff already making a place on Jesper Åhman, who's being overtaken and is now outside of the top 10 again as the 3 teammates hold on to their top 3 through the opening half of the lap. And oh my goodness, Kasper Björk very nearly scrapes the wall.
Yes, so the top 3 haven't stopped at all, but the next few cars behind them have stopped, just not at that last caution. So it's the top 7 who have stayed out. Although having said that, Fredriksson has already got past one of those as Kenneth Tier drops down. Up the inside is going to be the top 3 are broken up as Strauss gets his way through, so close to contact through the apex of 1. He keeps his tie up to the inside of 2 and therefore has to back out of it and loses that momentum.
I think people have been underestimating so far just how much understeer you're going to get if you enter a little bit lower there in towards turn 1 or turn 3. You are going to wash up into the car beside you. That's exactly what we just saw with Schott and Holmbaum. They ended up in the catch fence together. You don't want to have that happen to you, and so they've got to start taking into account just how tight they're going to get on the low line.
Oh, definitely, and I guess they'll learn that and what the grip is like over the course of the race. But sometimes you learn the hard way. Here comes the 12 of Marcus Hogman up the inside. He's going to make his way through Björk, who was struggling a little bit. Björk is on older tyres. Remember, he's not as old as the front, but he's actually able to hold it around the outside. So yes, Ewan, it seems up the inside of turn 1 seems to be very difficult to complete the overtake.
Yeah, which is counterintuitive actually, as we've got a caution again. Another caution flies, and this could be bad news for the front 3, by the way. I reckon they could be the only 3 to stop here, but let's see as we end lap 35.
Do they commit, though? Do they commit and stay out?
Podges Wedgstedt, by the way, is in pit lane. I wonder whether he's got something to do with it. I mean, they kind of made their bed at this point. I'd be tempted to just stay out, to be honest, and send it, really. But let's see what they decide to do as we find out what caused this caution. As I say, I think it is Pontus Wedgstedt who has been involved. It looks like there's quite a few involved here. It is Wedgstedt who gets into the wall initially. And does everybody avoid him? Yes, they do. So it is just Wedgstedt who has found the wall and is back to pit lane. I'm afraid that's his second crash of the day. He did quite well to stay on the lead out after the first, actually, but he is now back in pit lane and going to be laps down, I would expect.
I mean, his racing line looked fine. He just took too much speed into turn 1 and just wasn't able to hold it on the exit of at the apex of turn 1. Just slid up, and a little bit too much risk being taken as we get to obviously a third race distance. And I reckon these guys are going to stay out at the front. I think I would in their situation. The cautions have been so frequent. I don't think they're going to have to make a green flag pit stop still. And the longer they stay out, the more enticing it is for the drivers behind them to pit again, and therefore they'll keep some of the track position. So I think it makes sense. Of course, you're banking on a caution again to not do the green flag pit stop. However, with how frequent they've been this race, I would stay out. Having said that, they're all going to come in. At least the team in the front.
Yeah, I said they could be the only 3, and that could be really bad for them. I mean, we are almost halfway in terms of time, so if this race does go to time, then they are pretty much stopping at the halfway mark to maybe not stop again. That's my theory anyway. And if they stay together like this and just stealth their way through the field as they did in the first half, then maybe this could be a winning strategy. But my fears for them have been realised. They are the only 3 on pit lane, and they will be last, second last and third last.
Let's see how this one works out. So Strauss stays out, but remember, Strauss, Bjork, Hogman, they've all got 20-plus lap old tyres. And then we've also got Kenneth Tier, who's currently in 5th place. He's also on older tyres. And then it's everyone who stopped at that previous stint. So there's still a couple of drivers out there. I'll tell you what, as Jesper Eriksson goes round, he gets another lap back. He's only 3 down. So I reckon Eriksson could be on the lead lap by the final stint in this race. He's just the 3rd driver, really a 2nd driver, who is a lap down. Only Carlson is ahead of him, 2 laps down. So not too bad necessarily, but certainly the strategy games are working for some, maybe not for others.
Why didn't Carlson get that lap back then, and Eriksson did instead? That's slightly puzzling to me. But anyway, I think I'm looking at an outdated timing screen. That's why. Never mind. Sorry. That's exactly why. So there we go. He's getting back into the fray here. Is Eriksson. And very shortly could be back onto the lead lap, but there's still another couple of cautions away from that. Still some very long stops going on in the background, by the way, where some of the drivers of today are, well, they're miles down, I'm afraid. Stiller and Olsen are still in the session as far as I can work out, but their stops have been over half an hour and just under half an hour, respectively. They are about 30 laps down each, so they may re-emerge for some points later on, but at the moment they're still getting some rather large repairs done. And I've got to say, the field, as we're looking at it there on the front straight, does look noticeably smaller, actually, compared to the start of this race.
Oh, it certainly does. It's been caution-filled in the first 38% of this race, and I don't think that rate is going to slow down. I mean, you normally sort of note these things down. Have we even got to 10 laps under a green flag situation? I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
I think it's about 7.
Yeah, I think we've got to about 9 twice. With the first, I'm not quite doing the rigorous maths that I normally do for the Oval Series, because that's a bit easier to do when you're doing it every week, but and you can compare it to others, but yeah, I think it's about 9 each. I don't think we've had 10 laps just yet. We're still waiting for that, and just begin to cast a bit of doubt as to whether we are going to get there at all in terms of that amount of time, or sorry, that amount of laps in a green flag run. But anyway, let's see if we can get there. Still 62 laps remaining, plenty of time, and pretty much everybody has stayed out under the most recent caution. Only the top 3 have been in, so Oliver Hagström, for the first time in quite some time, is not the leader here in well over 20 laps, and we've got a new driver at the front of the restart. It's Matthias Strauss, who doesn't wait very long to see the pace truck pull in and the green flag wave. Well, he is waiting. That was earlier on where we saw the very early start indeed. Strauss now does go. Some able to predict it in the background, some not. Bjork not particularly. Hagman is right on the back of him though, and Fredriksson as well. Oman and Motin going side by side into turn 1 is the highest place battle. That's for 9th. They're very packed up here in the restart. This is the first time in quite some time we've seen someone wait quite as long as that.
Yeah, I don't like that from Strauss. It's too late. Everyone bunched up on the straight. You've got to go early while everyone's spread out, still coming through turn 4. We're 2 by 2 in towards turn number 3. Bjork is going to take the lead. Hagström also gets through to third as we see up into the wall as Strauss goes, but he's able to hold on as Bjork wasn't able to keep it down. Inside line, not good for overtakes today.
Absolutely not, and he might now, Bjork, be freight trained by Hagman as well, who goes straight past him. Well, there wasn't even any need for side-by-side there, as Bjork just runs that slightly higher line. Side-by-side, meanwhile, for Tyr and Lindhoff, as Tyr goes a bit wide through turn 2. Now he might get freight trained himself here as Marvin Atkinson just pulls onto the back of him, and here he goes. Oh no, there's no speed at all for Lindhoff, and he can't get through on Kenneth Tyr by the looks of things for 6th place.
Oh, tight racing between these guys. As we were mentioning, it's so tight on the restart. The drivers see the opportunity to actually get some of these positions straight away as the green flag drops once more. And we're actually seeing a little bit of a breakaway from Strauss in the front. He's got some good speed in that car, but it's pretty crazy how you saw at one point Bjork potentially going for the lead, then dropping down also into 3rd place. It can change around very quickly here. Your momentum, you don't always see it on camera, but the momentum shifts forward and back are very big, especially with how slow potentially you take these corners if you don't get the line absolutely right. An absolute train of cars down the back straight.
We've got a lap car, by the way, for the first time in green flag racing. Strauss is coming up to the back of a driver already multiple laps down in this race, and they are just going to get out of the way, although they're slightly on the apex through turn 4. Everyone having to go wide. I suppose it's better than him going wide himself and then everyone understeering into him. But anyway, that is Anders Carlson, who goes now 3 laps down. He's got to be careful he doesn't give up a place to Jesper Eriksson, who could begin to take his free passes. But anyway, that's for him to worry about in a few moments' time. As Atkinson there just losing a bit of momentum. He was on the back of Lindhoff not so long ago. He's been knocked back a little bit, and now Oscar Moten is right behind him. We're getting settled in here to a green flag run, but not much change with everybody pretty much having stopped on the same lap earlier.
Absolutely, they are so tight in this race at this moment in time. They haven't quite spread out just yet. It's really just a nose to tail as we come out onto the front straight once more. Some moves will be made as we are seeing a bit of a breakaway at the front. Strauss and Bjork, they're looking fast. They're trying to pull the cars along with them from behind, but it looks like no one's going for the overtakes just yet. I'm very interested to see, though, that it's been very difficult to overtake on the inside, both of turn 1 and 3. Of course, they're the main overtaking opportunities of the track, but maybe the outside line, we're seeing the slipstream games being played, drivers weaving around, trying to break that as they try and hold on to their position.
Yeah. It is aggressive already, and we're only in the first half or so of this race now. We are getting close, as I said, to that half distance in terms of time as well. We're going to have a much more caution-free second half to this race, if indeed we are going to get all 400 kilometres and all 100 laps in this evening as we make our way in towards turn number 1 again. It is so close, especially in the sort of latter end of the top 10. Oscar Moten's got Jesper Åhman right behind him. He's quite close to Atkinson, who's just up ahead of him here. Will Åhman go for a move? It's certainly Moten. So they're almost fighting for the outside here. That's something unusual. Åhman puts himself in an impossibly small gap there on the outside line. But here he goes right round the outside. It's the place to be today. What a strange situation.
Yes, more risk, but it's more reward, and he takes that position up into 9th place, and maybe this strategy and these choices are coming back for the number 2 machine as he works his way up. He is about 5th, 6th place in the train of cars who did stop, I should say, at the most recent pit stop. We are seeing changes up towards the front, though. Strauss is leading by 1.5 seconds, but Bjork and Hagman going side by side over the exit of 2, but the 12 not able to get past.
Not quite, and look at the gap this has given Strauss. This has got to be the biggest lead we've seen for anybody today. As Hagman goes to the inside, got to be careful of the understeer, got to slow down. He gets right up on the curb on the low side, and no, can't do it. And Bjork hangs on again. So is this just going to be a race of everybody hanging on to the outsiders? Meanwhile, Bjork's in the pit lane after 45 laps. That is an odd call.
Oh, I'm trying to see. Is that just a drive-through penalty? there's no way he would have taken that on purpose. As Fredriksson gets past Hogman, he goes up into second place now as the gap obviously opens up ahead. So now over 2 seconds. Strauss is looking good out the front. These guys are going to have to work together to try and catch up with that one. As the Sim Race Sweden cars coming through. Lindhoff and Åkesson, P6 and 7, looking dangerous in behind. And it's all changed. Very interesting to see green flag pit stops.
Kenneth Tier doesn't quite find himself in the wall, but it was close. Melvin Axon gets himself through as well, following Henrik Lindhoff. And here goes Jesper Öhman as well. Yeah, that is strange for Bjork. He'd only been out for 30 laps, by the way. You wouldn't expect that to be the limit of a fuel tank. But anyway, he decided to make his way in, and well, I would say there's be pretty bad consequences for it as well. In the race, he's now nearly 40 seconds behind Strauss, who's leading the race. That is nearly a lap. So it costs you a lot round here, and I think you can't really afford to be making green flag stops the way this race is currently.
Oh no, especially how many cautions we've had. Surely there's going to be more later in the race, so that is not a good idea at all. But well, it's a big change. Anyway, up towards the front. Maybe it'll work out later on with how things go. But Strauss leads by over 2.5 seconds. Fredriksson is now leading this train, trying to pull the drivers along. And the good thing is, with how frequent the cautions have been, you don't necessarily have to worry about saving fuel. You can go to the front and pull cars in behind with that slipstream. Of course, the car at the front of the train uses more fuel as they're pushing through the air, but that's not really a worry with how the race is going.
Speaking of fuel, Strauss has got the least of it in the lead lap at the moment, so that's probably why he's been so quick, or partly why anyway. Of course, the battles for second place have helped him, but he must be very light on fuel at the moment, having nearly completed 40 laps without having stopped. Of course, lots of that will have been under caution. Yes, he pitted under the first caution, and that is the only stop he's made so far, so that's exactly how to do it if you're watching Jesper Öhman. Stay out under some of these cautions. You can stealth your way to the front of the field, might have lower fuel than those around you, and you might be able to drive away as well, although Strauss would very much like a caution, I'd imagine, in the next few moments.
Oh yeah, he's going to need a caution in the next handful of laps, I would say, just on fuel. But if not, he's making a green flag stop, and he will go basically a lap down with that. But the 28 is looking good at this point. The amount of cautions, though, he must have saved a lot of fuel. So maybe you're right, going to go well over 40 laps in a stint. Or maybe not.
No, clearly not. I thought these cars could go longer, but anyway. Strauss is in, and Fredriksson now leads at the end of 49, so we're nearly at the halfway mark, but we are also, as I say, at the halfway mark in terms of time as well. What does that mean? That probably means you can afford maybe another 5 cautions, to be honest, and still make the 100 laps, so we've got plenty of time here.
Yeah, it's not looking too bad, although I'd rather keep this green flag racing, as it's really great to see. So, well, obviously the situation that we're finding ourselves in is ever changing, and all those who decided to stay out on long stops, they are going to be coming in. Having said that, the next driver is going to be Marcus Hogman in second place. He's still, well, if you obviously use Strauss for measure, he's got 10 laps to go, and with that he's going to go up the inside of turn 1, but once again the outside is where you want to be.
In a pure track race, he's probably quicker than Fredriksson, but it's about finding your way through here, and that could be very tricky indeed, as Robin Austin is our chauffeur, if you like, to our battle for first place. Fredriksson versus Hagman, and no, he can't quite get up the inside into turn 3 this time. I'm beginning to wonder where in the latter laps where these overtakes are going to come from, actually, because if you can't go to the inside to make moves as you traditionally would, even if you get a really good run, I don't see how they're going to be able to manage it.
Absolutely, you might as well, as the defending driver, just stay on the racing line, let them go up the inside, and then they won't be able to overtake you. But maybe that will grip up as the race goes on, and then that might actually help the drivers. We'll have to see, Indy, but it definitely seems overtaking around the outside is what you need to do with how the race is going on. So we still have a huge train of cars up towards the front, as once again Hagman looks to the inside.
Still got 21 on the lead lap, by the way, so that is about 2/3 of the field that started this race here this evening after 52 laps of racing. Fredriksson is still leading the way, but Magnus Hagman is trying to take it off him any way he can. Even with the inside line, though, it's proved tricky today. Oh, he sent it in. That took cooperation from Fredriksson there, who had to just back off there. If he'd have stayed on the outside, they would have both been in the wall.
And this is good for Hogman. He is lighter on fuel and should be able to pull away, but it's getting very close. Oslin is getting very tasty up in behind as they work their way through turn 3. But Hogman was able to make that work. So it's definitely a good point of the race for him to go to the front. We need to see how it works out.
Let's see how Henrik Lindhoff gets into this battle as well. He's 4th, the championship leader currently, of course, tied with Forsland, who's not here today. So Lindhoff looking to take advantage of that, and at the moment he is ahead of most of his championship rivals, other than Fredriksson, who's a couple of places ahead of him here. Would lose him a few points, considering they're so up towards the pointy end today. Here he goes, though, on the inside of Osland, but first of all, the inside has proved not very good, as we've seen, and also Osland has got the double slipstream from Hogman and Fredriksson, and so Lindhoff has to tuck into line. We are officially in the longest green flag run of the day to take us past halfway.
Yeah, this is good. The race can settle in now and just work its way forward. The strategies can start to figure themselves out. Marcus Hogman at the front. He's going to go on to lap 35 of the stint. So he may only have a handful of laps left to go. And I think that's why he's trying to get to the front to try and pull away. But, well, yeah, everyone else is going to have another 10 plus laps. So if it stays green for a long time, we are going to see a round of green flag stops. But Fredriksson is still looking fairly aggressive up towards the front, although for now he is looking like he's sitting in behind, so they are having a bit of status quo, and I think this is what the race needs. Probably.
There's no battles anywhere in the pack as everyone crowds behind Hogman here. Out over the line they'll go again, and they will all just save the fuel, I would imagine. Fredriksson probably barely on half throttle at the moment as he's really close behind Hogman, just saving that fuel. And that could mean he's going to go quite a long way here. If, as you say, if we're using as a marker, then Hogman's probably got 5 laps and the rest of them 10 more probably. It's certainly going to be 10 more for the rest of them, depending on how the others pit. But Lindhoff doesn't like the status quo. He is going to get past Osland here, and Robin Osland seemed to just let him have that one, really, as the championship leader moves up to 3rd.
And we're finally in the position where you can make these overtakes. So when everyone is saving fuels, Hogman comes in, and also I think it's Osland. No, not Osland in behind. Who is that? Kenneth Tier also comes in the background. Someone was into the wall. Who was that? Was it Hagström maybe? No, Sundström was the one into the wall in the background. So things are ever changing now. So when everyone's backed up and everyone's lifting off, if you just stay flat out, you can go past them. And that's exactly what we saw there from Lindhoff as he's taking the lead.
Yep, he sort of stepped into the void almost and took the lead away from Fredriksson, but is he going to come back again immediately here in the 1-1-2? No, he's just started to stay back, and here goes Sim Race Sweden as a whole. Melvin Ackerson's on the inside of Robin Osland here, who's not quite giving up just yet on the outside line, but he needs to get clear, and he does. Otherwise, his teammates would have given Ackerson the slipstream, and he would have been toast there with Robin Osland. Here comes Jesper Åhman as well now on the front straight. He's deciding, though, to stay behind.
High is the way to go. We just saw that once again from Åkesson. The gap opened up. He wanted to follow his teammates through, make it a 1-2-3, but he wasn't able to do so. And now we're seeing this incredible situation where Sim Race Sweden all of a sudden are coming towards the front. They got a couple of cars in the background as well as they work their way forward. This is a great run that we're seeing in this middle part of the race. Everyone's settled in and they're working out what they need to do. But that green flag pit stop, well, we'll have to see how it's going to work out. But for the likes of Strauss, for Hogman, they are on the lead lap. They're just ahead of the battle in the foreground of the shot.
Are they going to be a bit of an annoyance for the rest? Because, of course, the guys who are at the very front of the field have less fuel on board. Of course, older tyres, but less fuel could be the advantage. It certainly was for Strauss earlier on. And I think if Lindhoff catches them, he will just take their slipstream and sit there with it, to be honest, until these guys all have to stop. It's becoming noticeable to me, actually, that the longer they go on here, the shorter that they are able to go on fuel. And what I mean by is that the guys who hadn't stopped were able to do about 40 laps because there have been cautions. The drivers we just saw come in, so Marcus Hogman and Kenneth Tier, for example, only able to do about 35. I reckon these guys at the front now will be able to do probably less than 35, which will be pitting in the next 5 laps, to be honest, because they've had a lot more green flag running than the rest of the field, effectively, who under their long runs.
And that's very exciting indeed, because that means everyone will still need an extra stop to get to the end with 40 laps to go. If they stop in a couple of laps' time, then they will need another stop. So we could see some splashes and dashes at the end of this race if we stay green. Let's see how it works out. But of course, a long way to go at that point. We're looking at Ostend, who was able to hold on from Auksson, but he's now just losing a tiny bit from the cars ahead, who are basically catching up to those top three who pitted earlier. Hogman is going up the inside there of Bjork to get through, and of course Kenneth Tier sitting right behind them.
I think Lindhoff was initially stretching the margins here. You can see the gaps are a lot bigger than they were earlier on under the lead of Hardman. But now look, Lindhoff is just having to stay behind them. Does he really take advantage of his lead lap credentials here, or does he just stay behind? Of course, they're all just about on the lead lap, but they are right in the way. It's the thing about Indianapolis, is that it's pretty much exactly a lap to pit. It's about 38 seconds, I think, that you lose, and laps about 41. So you end up a few seconds ahead, but on the lower fuel, Lindhoff's able to close in, and he's showing signs immediately here that he doesn't initially want to get through. Further behind, Helmbro and Motin go side by side for 6th as the top 5 begin to stretch away, and Helmbro does get that place ahead of Oscar Motin.
And that's because Motin went into the wall on the exit of 4, really lost the momentum down that front straight, and Helmbro absolutely took that opportunity because he doesn't want to lose out. He needs to stay on the back of Ullman, who's actually pulling away just a little bit up ahead. It's crazy how the momentum can change so quickly. You go from being basically nose to tail to being 5 car lengths back as we're getting an awkward situation. Now this is the cars who are about to be a lap down. This is the order that we saw a few minutes ago, but now with the pit stops sort of change things. Talking of pit stops, there's Motin coming in after his contact with the wall.
Yep, 32 laps for him, so pretty expected actually. If these guys can just go to lap 65, I think they can make it home on one more stop. The one more stop, the one do, I mean. So they're all completing lap number 33 of their stint as things stand. They pitted pretty much on lap 30 earlier on, and I think they might be able to split this into 2 as long as they save the fuel to do so. And that might be what Lindhoff is just doing in the final couple of laps of his stint here. How much longer can they go? At least one more. They need to do one more after this next one, and I believe they'll be safe to make it home.
So maybe this slipstream from the lap traffic is going to help them to just save that last little bit if they were tight, because it's so annoying, it's so frustrating. Maybe you end up hitting with like 0.75 of a lap. If you could save just that extra little bit to get that extra lap, that could be so crucial, as this is very chaotic now. Cars all over the place. Remember, it's these sim race Sweden cars. They are the race leaders, and it's the lap cars up ahead. It's about 3 or 4 cars that they're following in now. They're all having a battle of their own, slowing each other down, and this is not ideal, as we're obviously seeing. We've got Strausser, Horgren, Bjork and Kenneth Tier.
Yeah, Motin, I think, has dropped himself into this now. So that's the recent stack up. Lindhoff will be saving a lot of fuel this time on the front straight, going basically nowhere as they do go over the line for another lap. So just one more to be sure, I would say, because this current stint is, of course, masked at the start of the stint with a little bit of caution, which will have helped them. If they only pit after this one, then they might be struggling with 35 laps of green flag running. But what about if there is caution? There's meanwhile side-by-siding possibly close between Arman and Helmbro. Yes, but Arman very nearly, Arman and Arkeson. Arkeson very nearly came up immediately into Arman there, and that was very close indeed. Now Helmbro's getting involved as they make their way through turn 4. They do go on one more. I believe these are the candidates for the race win if we stay green to the end.
Absolutely, and what a move that was from the number 2 machine around the outside in turn 3. That really is the way to go today, and these lap traffic ahead of them have really helped them out. I think saved this last bit of fuel that they need. This is insane scenes, and those guys who pit then, they're going to have to do a splash at the end, so they're going to be in this situation at the end of the race, a lap down basically. So it's not been the strategy for them. It has been for the likes of Lindhoff, who stopped, of course, on that caution about 35 laps ago now. Is it going to be this time? They're coming down pit road. There's going to be a lot of cars at the same time. All these cars in the background, this whole train of cars is getting held up. They're all on the same lap counts.
But I don't think they mind, though, those behind, because they're saving that fuel. Brostrom's into the pit lane, by the way. That's Bjorn Brostrom. Don't be confused as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 again. Henrik Lindhoff is getting right up court now behind Bjork, I think that is, the final driver on the lead lap as things stand. Oh no, he's a little bit further up, I think, actually. But anyway, Jesper Åhman's at it again. He's on the outside. It's actually through on Robin Östlund. Åhman is really starting to stretch his legs. We know he's quick. I've questioned his strategy, but now he's on the right one because he's pitting less, and he's suddenly doing a full green flag run with the rest of them, and they're all in here. They're all in because they've got to be. They're running low on fuel now. Åhman stays on, so does Helmbro, Holmer and Bohlin. They all stay out, but the rest of them on the lead lap, other than Hagström and Manson, who you'd expect to stay out, I suppose, are in pit lane.
Absolutely. So the teammates, of course, you expect them to come in at the same time. You want the slipstream on the exit. And of course, those a little bit further back in the pack, the likes of Åhman, Helmbro, Holmer, they were able to obviously save that little bit more fuel in the stint, as we're seeing Strauss now, of course, one of the cars who pit earlier. And he, of course, would effectively be in the race lead as he was earlier. Should he come out in front, though?
He will do. I've almost forgot of his existence, actually. I thought he was in the group with the others at the front of the race, but actually he's wiping the floor with them at the moment, and he's going to lead this race by about 5 seconds when this all shakes out. Helmbro and Holmer come in this time round. It's clear that the 4 remaining out there on the circuit have done a bit more fuel saving now, and they are leading the race as a result. Åhman now by 2.3 seconds.
But Strauss needs a splash and dash to get to the end. Therefore, he needs a pit stop in some sort of caution where he can make a pit stop, and also the cars in behind come in as well. So he needs it in about 10 or 15 laps just before where he should stop.
Yeah, any time now would be okay for Strauss, I think. Especially now, actually, because they limit the amount on the lead lap to just 14 if they were to see a caution now. Bohlin, Hagström and Manson make their way in towards turn 1 again. This is Hagström getting ahead of Oliver Bohlin here. They, of course, pitted a bit earlier. I was right first time. A bit later than those who are on the strategy with Fredriksson and Lindhoff, etc. So the Hagström and Manson pairing are able to go a bit further. Manson trying to follow his teammate and can't quite do it.
Oh, tough battling around here, though. Lap 70 comes around. 30 laps remaining in this race. Pit stops continue to come in from those drivers. It's just going to leave one driver of Manson out at the front of the field.
So, as I say, he pitted a bit later, and these guys who are pitting now, anyone pitting from now, can make it home, including the main group we saw come in, led by Henrik Lindhoff. He's still leading the group, by the way, but look at Helmbro. He's had a wonderful pit stop. He's gone to the lead now, very nearly, of this group. He goes up the inside into turn 3, and in a move we've very rarely seen work, Helmbro is now leader of this strategy, if you like.
And he had the shortest pit stop out of everyone, so he obviously did massive fuel saving, was able to have a little bit left in the tank, I would assume, followed everyone in at the same time, and now is able to lead from the front.
It's so much more interesting when there's long green flag runs like this, isn't it? It's absolutely fascinating as the drivers who've just pitted come out again. There's Hagström. He's in this race, and so is Åhman. Look at that. There he is in the number 2, getting out ahead of absolutely everybody here. Helmbro has got to get moving here and get into the slipstream of Jesper Åhman. Otherwise, the pole sitter could be allowed to run away with this in the final 30 laps of the race. Armin Manson's in. He shouldn't trouble Jesper Åhman or indeed anyone else here at the front of the field, but look at this. Helmbro pushing for all he's worth. He's got to catch Åhman in these next few moments.
And that 2 car is looking quick today. Went to pole position. We know he's fast, and let's see how this one works out. But he stayed out. He effectively did a couple of quali laps on that lighter fuel. He should be able to be getting just up to pace, but unfortunately, I think Helmbro is just going to catch him in the slipstream. But let's see how that one works out. The 2 is looking good, though.
Certainly is. Shouldn't forget that Strauss is leading the race at the moment, by the way, as we complete the final 30 laps of this one. He's on lap number 23 of this stint. He can't make it home, but he does have a good 10-lap window here where he'll be praying for a caution.
Oh, he certainly will. This is tightening up once more. The orders flip-flopped quite a few times, so it's very crazy to predict. But let's see how this obviously works out in the final moments of this race. And if it stays green, I think we're looking at a great fight.
We certainly are. 27 to go at Indianapolis. We'll be back in a few moments with the run to the flag after this. Welcome back to Indianapolis for the run to the flag in the Storängen Bilvård 400, round number 7 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan for 2024's Indy series. Myself, Ian Leary, and Cam Roger with you for this one. 23 to go, Cam. It's so interesting when there's long green flag runs like this. Sometimes races need cautions, of course, but we've had plenty of our fair share in the first half here. It's about the run to the flag now, and who's going to win this race, because we're none closer really to finding out the name of the winner.
Oh, absolutely not. It depends if and when there's a caution. So Strauss leads by 5 seconds, but he needs to pit in the next 5 laps or so. So he's going to obviously therefore be a pit stop behind. But if there's a caution right now, or maybe in a couple of laps time, maybe then everyone comes back in for fresh tyres to the end, and then he'll keep his track position. So it's a very interesting one. Having said that, he's just come down pit road, so it is a bit too much, unfortunately, for Strauss. He's going to be basically a lap down to the end, and he's really going to hope for some miracles to get back to the front.
Yeah, he'll need a caution, I'm afraid. He'll be over 30 seconds off the lead at the end of this one, even with a shorter stop and a head start. He will be further back at the end of all this. So we've got... Oh, that was quite well timed, or badly timed, depending on how you look at it for Strauss. We've got a caution with 21 to go here at Indianapolis. Now, next is where has that come from? It looks like Matthias Strauss is the only one, to me, dropping down the field, but we know where he's gone. So who is it? Might be Jesper Eriksson, who's also in pit lane at the moment. Hakan Schot's been in there for 40 minutes, so I can't see it being him. We'll find out in the next few moments. Semi Josensu seems to be going slowly as well, though he might be just signed down for the caution. We'll find out in a few moments' time, but that does change everything, really.
Yeah, the only car I saw change was Ericsson, who's now out of the race, DNF. Wow, what a season it has been. Of course, he won the Formula 4s this time a year ago, and now he's having some issues. Wow, big snap, huge snap out of turn 4. The car goes pirouetting around. Was there contact from behind, or did he just nudge? No. Just overcorrected. The tiniest bit of sliding and looseness from the rear end, a massive overcorrection into the wall, and that is day done. And to be honest, championship done for the 37.
I think so. He will have been feeling that not championship done, but certainly he was behind where he needs to be after race 2 at Silverstone. He's certainly behind where he needs to be now, with only 6 races to go at the end of tonight, of course. This being round 7 of our series. So, do you pit or do you not? I think everyone but Strauss will be in here.
Yeah, should I stay or should I go? We'll have to find out here. It's tough because they can get to the end. So,
yeah.
If they all stay out, they got the track position. But if you go in and we see a couple of people in, maybe it's a good one. We'll have to find out. I think that was the 12 of Marcus Hogman, yes, and Kenneth Tier, and a few drivers at the back, some of the MHE racing cars coming in. It makes sense for them because they're already towards the back of the train. But for those at the front, if everyone stays out, they all stay on the same fuel and tyre strategy, because everyone in the front here, they're all within sort of 5 laps of each other up and down. So it's very level. If they stay out, then it's just a clean fight to the end.
It is. I think this restart, though, is going to be very important, because I don't think we've quite seen the full benefit of track position just yet. Because previously in this race, there's always been time remaining, plenty of it as well, plenty of laps remaining. I think everyone's been a little bit nicer to each other than they're about to be in these final 20 laps, knowing that the race wins on the line. And as we've seen so far, the outside line's been so powerful. I don't see how you get someone off of the outside line almost in this race, because effectively you're just going to drive down the straights with the wall to your right-hand side with no car width on your right. I don't see how any driver gets to the outside really at all. So this I think could be very tricky indeed, unless you get him on the restart, of course. And Helmbro here, he's got a big job on his hands to be very attentive for when Erman goes. He's got to be right on it.
Absolutely. Tough and tight battles towards the end of this race. I guess that's what we wanted, though, and that's actually why I don't mind some cautions earlier on in the race, because people go down different routes and then we get to this situation at the end where everything comes to a head. But will it remain under the green flag? That is a tough one. But the 2 has been looking fast all day, so I wouldn't count him out. If he keeps this track position, I wouldn't count him out, really just staying there to the end.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be rather embarrassing if he does win and we end up having to interview him, and that we criticised his strategy relentlessly in the first 20 laps, or I certainly did.
But if there was more cautions, as we saw in the first 30 laps, if that rate continued, I think it wouldn't have worked. But the long green flag run, with how the fuel numbers worked, and he was able to stay out on the quali lap fuel and then jump to the front, that all worked in his favour just because of really when the cautions were.
Yeah, his speed certainly seems to have superseded his strategy in these last 50 laps or so, but that's because we've had our longest green flag run of the day, and we can say that with conviction already because there aren't enough laps left now to better that. So that's your lot as far as green flag running goes, but hopefully this is a clean run to the flag. Can we see it being one though? 18 laps to go, that will be our second longest of the day. It feels unlikely, actually, with everyone racing for a race win.
Absolutely. So where we are at as well with the drivers stopping, so Matthias Strauss is down to 14th place after pitting from the lead, so that's actually not too terrible. And also in the end, because of the caution, he's now at the back of the train rather than being a lap ahead, basically where the lap behind where the pace track is. So that's actually not too bad for him. He has got fresher tyres by 10 plus laps on all of the cars ahead, so he might be one making some moves. And then of course we've got the cars who just pit, like Hogman, Tier, etc. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get themselves up inside the top 10. If it's enough for the race win, we'll have to find out, as that's an interesting line from the two, going very high on the restart.
Only problem for them, of course, just quickly, is the fact that they'll have to make almost an overtake a lap. Be tricky, but let's see how we go. As Jesper Roman gets control of the field again, is he going to wait a while or go immediately? Well, he doesn't wait that long, and Helbro was waiting for it as the green flag waves again. 18 laps to go here at Indianapolis, and Jesper Roman's got a very important restart to come here. If he can settle in early on, then he might just be able to hold Helbro and the rest at arm's distance. But look at how close they are already. Going through turn 2, this could be very important for the race, and here goes Lindhoff looking for a 3-wide moment. We've not seen one of these since lap 9, and it's for the lead of the race. Here goes Lindhoff on the very inside and through the middle. Helbro is going to take the lead of this one. We're still 17 to go.
Amazing risk for these drivers on the opening lap there, but that's prime opportunity. You don't want to let the two, with his speed, stay out the front. So great opportunistic move there from Lindhoff to also follow through. I think he was also going down the inside just to make sure he got that move, and he is now up into second place as we have just 16 laps to go in this race. Wallin's making a move on Frisk inside the top 10 as well. So the moves are continuing on as everyone goes for this sprint to the finish.
Here goes Arman again as he sees Lindhoff go for the lead with Helbro, and he saw the middle prevail last time. He's going to go through the middle this time to get back into the lead of this race. He goes quite wide, but that's okay. We've seen it work today, and yes, Broman's back into the lead again. Maybe with the shackles unleashed, everybody can go for this a little bit more freely, and the overtaking might just be a bit easier than we were forecasting earlier on. Here goes Lindhoff to the inside, Helbro as well into turn 1. Only Lindhoff gets through, now he leads.
And the reason why these moves are being made is because before they were lifting off to save fuel and to keep in the train and stay calm. Now they're staying flat out, they're using the overspeed and making these overtakes work. There's 16 to go, no risk, and once again they're swapping positions at the front, and even despite all this battling, look how many cars are following in behind. They're basically just bunching up once more. It's crazy scenes to the end here as Fredriksson and Osland join this top 5 battle.
Yeah, Fredriksson was looking to the outside of Helbro there, in towards turn 3. And that would have been brave, but he didn't do it. Here goes Lindhoff again. They're almost exchanging positions methodically here, systematically. Lindhoff leading again ahead of Arman. And you wonder when this exchange is going to end, because every time into turn 1 or turn 3, there's been an overtake. Arman overtakes into turn 3. Lindhoff responds at turn 1 as things stand. Here goes Arman again. They are just swapping the lead effectively.
And this is what the McLaren boys did in real life, and it did work quite effectively up towards the front. Let's see if it's going to work. Of course, these two not teammates this time around, but if it's able to pull a bit of a gap like they are doing now, just a 10th here, 10th there, it might make it a two-way fight in those final 5 laps, and that is really what they want, as once again they swap down the front straight, but it just depends on how the lap count is going to be in the background. We're going to see Vigashu as well get past Osland, or at least try to, down to turn 1. I think he had to back out of it though.
14 to go, as you can see in the top left. Plenty of time remaining for these two to figure out a winner, but how's Lindhoff going to play this? Will he just stop going through at turn 1 and start doing it at turn 3, because at the moment Oman's leading every lap, although Lindhoff keeps overtaking him again in towards turn 1. Will he even wait for the run to the line here? That would be pretty brave of him to wait for that. Would he be ahead in time for the Brickyard? Not sure. Someone's gone off there in the background. That looked like a pretty heavy accident, actually. It wasn't for anyone on the lead lap, but it does bring out a caution.
I think it was Casper Bjork. Yeah, the 129. I mean, it looked like he was going into the pit lane, but about 3 times too fast. That is going to be a huge shunt to the inside. Brings out caution. It'll be about 10 to go, maybe just under when we get back to green flag racing. And that kind of changes things once more. Does someone want to risk it? This is a 20-lap stint now. Oh, he was already losing the rear end. Huge hit into the inside wall there. Oh, my word.
I think he hit the outside wall before he hit the inside one. It was understeer this time rather than Ericsson's oversteer, but understeer, bounced into one side, bounced into the other, then back into the outside wall again, like a pinball out of turn 4. And that is the end of Casper Bjork's day, I'm afraid. We've seen some pretty large crashes today, and this is another one to add to the list. It's me.
I'm glad this is a sim, because like, not quite head on, but very shallow angle into the wall, and that would have still been well over 150 mile an hour by the point of impact. That was a big hit.
Very big crash indeed. We are about an hour and 20 into this race, by the way, so we are getting tight for time, but I think we'll have time, and probably have time for one more caution if there is another here. I'm not sure what the limit is in terms of laps and how the time plays into that, and it could all get quite complicated towards the end if we end up this one under caution or not. However, we may well have time for one more caution after this one, but are we going to get one? Because that was rather a strange single car incident that really could happen any time.
Absolutely, and just massive understeer off turn 4 there. Crazy. Has he got back to the pit lane? No, he is out of this race completely there. That car is toast. So that leaves just 21 cars. We still have Hawkenshot in the pit lane. He's been there for 51 minutes in the 101. Crazy stuff. 60 laps down now. Marcus still apparently there for 67 minutes. As we've seen a couple of drivers come down pit road still. Literally just a couple. They'll be dropping to the back of the pack. That is Oscar Motin and Bjorn Broström as they work their way towards the end of this race. It's a tough one to predict, Ewan, with how this one finishes. But the 2 and the 8, of course, you know, the 2's been the fastest car today. Lindhoff is leading the championship. I mean, it's the 2 big boys at the front, and they're working together very nicely.
Well, do you think they are the 2 fastest, though? Or was Helmbro just holding back and letting those 2 exchange their positions early on? Or could he not keep up? Because it was really about the 2 and the 8 in that last run. But I do just wonder, even with the limited amount of time we do have remaining, that there still is time for Helmbro to just hold off and wait.
Potentially. Potentially we'll see as we're getting cars get their laps back. I don't know. Helmbro has been fast. You're right. And especially in that one pit stop, he really jumped to the front and he was able to keep himself there. So don't count out the 77. But the way the 2 and the 8s were working together, I really liked that. Having said that, if Helmbro gets involved, then maybe we can see him fight for that win.
Let's see how we go. I believe we're about to get our restart. It will be 10 to go. As I mentioned, there will be chance for one more caution. Both time and laps will allow for that. So this may not be the run to the end, but we certainly hope it is. A 10-lap run to the end of this race sounds very nice indeed. Thank you very much. As we get ourselves ready for the restart. Lights are still on, so we'll have to wait another lap by the looks of things for Lindhoff to have the chance to get things underway again. I mean, for me at the moment, it is a 50-50 call between Lindhoff and Oman. That they look like the 2 fastest to me, and but however, on the other hand, they look like there was also nothing between them.
Indeed, it's pretty 50-50. I don't think either of them has too much over the other, so they will be having a straight fight. And then I guess it depends where you want to be coming onto that final lap as well. We saw them swapping, so then it kind of is that game of on that penultimate lap, maybe you don't go for the overtake because you actually want to be in behind. And we have seen plenty of times the overtake for the win being into turn 3 on the final lap, not just turn 1. So I wouldn't count out anything for these drivers just yet. And so it'll actually be 9 to the line when we go back to green flag racing. That really isn't much to figure it out. And I'm sure with how everyone's going to stay flat out, I think we might see another caution before the end.
I suspect we might today, but let's wait and see on that front. We may well get away with it. As I say, these green flag runs are so fascinating, especially that one in the middle that involved green flag pit stops. I am glad we've seen green flag pit stops today. I think an oval race is always much better for them if we get them at any point. And it was nice to have those earlier on, but it really is about the run to the end now, with just 9 to go when we get back going. Lindhoff taking that strategy that Jesper Åhman employed last time out by going really high through turn 4 as the pace truck's about to pull back into pit lane here. And not really sure what benefit that provides, to be honest with you, but anyway, now he's in control. And the championship leader about to get us underway again. Green flag waves at Indianapolis. Final 9 laps here of the Storängen Bilvård 400 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Lindhoff leads for the moment. But look at Åhman, he's almost holding himself back here, Åhman, through turn 1 and 2, because he knows the run he's about to have, and he uses the 9 degrees of banking just to swing down low, and here he goes. Helmbro's going to be involved here as well. It was through the middle where we saw a prevailing wind here for the 3 wide moments earlier on. Here goes Helmbro to the outside though. It's closer this time between himself and Åhman, who knows this is a real chance to lead this race. Helmbro on the outside can't quite do it, and Jesper Åhman leads.
And the laps are counting down, but now Helmbro, he might have the run in towards the first corner of the lap. The 8 of Lindhoff thinking about going down the middle. Is the inside line going to be enough for the 77? Yes, he can. He takes the lead. So he's gone from 3rd to 1st on the restart, and he just needs to hold on now. But there's going to be quite a few more overtakes before this. And as you say, they almost go wide on purpose there in turn 2 to get the run down the back straight.
Here we go into and again, the inside line for Jesper Åhman here. And it is the top 2 who are exchanging places again. Now, does this mean that Lindhoff is going to be almost held at bay here by Helmbro and Åhman, who are just exchanging places? How long will this continue?
It might be that situation. Is he going to get involved? Let's see what the 77 does. He's surely going to have to go to the inside, and they do stay flat out. Cars coming in the pit lane in the back. There's Oscar Motin. He's obviously having some issues after that previous pit stop, but look how close they are, and everyone is just keeping that speed going towards the end of this race. They want to get every position they can, because you never know when a caution comes out, it might finally neutralize the race.
Here goes Lindhoff as well. He's getting closer, but Åhman is the one who makes the move this time round. This time on the inside line, the very inside, and Helmbro has to let him go through. But this allows Lindhoff to get a lot closer, and maybe just allows him to go through as well here. Out of turn 4 they go. He's been thinking about it these last couple of laps into turn 1 as Lindhoff, but he's not going to do it this time, I don't think. Here goes Helmbro again to the inside. He gets back in the lead again.
And this is the perfect way of saying that, you defend by attacking. Them doing this, these two doing this at the front, that is keeping Lindhoff behind. There's not much he can do to get past either of them. So this is exactly what they need to do. But Lindhoff at some point needs to just commit, try and go through the middle like we saw the 2 machine do. He's thinking about it. He might be able to get Helmbro actually in towards turn 3 here. Helmbro very experienced around the outside.
Oh, no.
And yes, contact in the background. We stay under green flag though.
Fredriksson, as he went side by side with Oliver Hagström, who's back into the fray all of a sudden, and Fredriksson goes massively down the field. 3 wide meanwhile in the background as we go in towards turn 1. It's Manson, Bohlin and Holmer for 6th place, who are going 3 wide, and they sort it out in the background. Meanwhile, Helmbro leads again now with 5 to go, but you're right, I think Henrik Lindhoff does have to be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to win this race. He's got to put his championship hat away for a moment if he does want to stand on the top step, or does he want to consolidate 3rd to give him a bigger points lead, because at the moment he would extend the gap on those around him.
This is a perfect situation for him, really, to think about the points to just take third place. The issue for him is that Oliver Hagström is coming in the background as the 77 goes to the lead once more. It's going to be 4 laps to go at the line. 16 kilometers remain in this race. To the inside, the 8 goes, and it might be way out wide there for the number 2 machine. Is he given room? Yes, he is, and he might be able to hold around the outside, but this is just going to let the 77 get a little bit away. Who's going to get the slipstream, though? Who does 77 give it to? It is the 2.
Hagström's going to have a real run here in the bottom right as well. This is on board with Fredriksson, who had that side-to-side contact with with Osland, I think it was, allowing Hagström to get through. And now Hagström's up to 3rd place. Lindhoff down to 4th as Jesper Åhman's back in the lead. They all catch behind, by the way, here as well. Robin Osland's going to have a really good run in the wall in the background. That's Albin Manson, who's just found the barrier, but he's okay. 3 to go as we go into turn 1 again. Helmbro on the outside, but Åhman less likely to get this one up now, side by side into turn 1 and 2 again. Yes, Brahman holds the inside line. Hagström is going to be able to go through 3 wide, and we've seen 3 wide overtakes. Very effective so far today. Here goes Hagström through the middle. He's going to be in the lead here. He'll be on the outside in towards turn 3, and it's close, but he's got it, I think, over Jesper Åhman. They remain side by side. Jesper Åhman's hanging on here.
And this was a terrible decision from the 2 and the 77. They stayed side by side for too long. The 2 tried to defend to the inside, and now it's just brought Hagström into this as the 77 goes through the middle for the race lead. 2 laps remaining. The 8 of Lindhoff is getting involved as well, and it might be Helmbro to the lead on the outside of turn number 1. Can he hold on to the outside? I think he's going to try it, but the 2 is looking so fast himself.
He's holding on the low side, better than we've seen anybody today. Yes, Brahman again on the inside here, but Helmbro's got to run in him. Hagström's got to run on both. Outside line with 2 to go. It's 3 wide. He's going to be on such a high line here. And look at this, into turn 4. Åhman still on the inside line. He's tucks down low. Hagström gets back in line. 1 lap to go here in Indianapolis.
Do you want to lead in turn 1 or turn 3? Let's find out. It's going to be Hagström on the outside. The 8-11 trying to lead. Huge run from the 8 of Lindhoff here. Final lap time. Åhman is going to have the inside line. He's just going to hold on for half a lap to go. 2 kilometers. Who is going to lead down into turn 3? The 2 has been defending well all day.
I think the fact that they're single file at turn 2 really helps Jesper Åhman here, who's really found some hay here on the low side. Goes Helmbro right onto the outside line. Peter Helmbro trying to get the race win here. He's brave on the outside. He's getting success at the moment. In towards turn 4 they go. Hagström's boxed in at the moment in towards turn 4. Here comes Henrik Lindhoff as well on the run up towards the line. Yes, Brahman pulls right to the inside line. No one's alongside him. There's contact. Oh, goodness me. What a huge crash as Jesper Åhman wins the race in a dramatic finish. Someone crossed the line in space there in the background. Oliver Hagström finishes 2nd, and Peter Helmbro somehow finishes 3rd, despite that contact on the way to the start-finish line. Goodness me.
Has there ever been a car getting a podium finish being in the air over the yard of bricks? I think that might be the situation for the 77, but there's another car in the background. Trying to work out who it was. Maybe it was Dan Holmer, one of the Sim Race Sweden cars, I think it was, being absolutely launched up into the air, also going over the finish line with how his wheels touching the ground. That was an insane way to finish that race. And Jesper Åhman getting it at the end. What a finish here.
I haven't really got any words for that. Let's have a look
Insane
again.
finish, Ewan.
Unbelievable. Let's have a look again. Åhman's on the very inside. Helmbro's going to get hit here by someone. Hagström it is. And it's Henrik Lindhoff, who I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that.
Oh, my God.
Henrik Lindhoff finishes the race in 4th place, but also in space.
That was unbelievable. He went up in the air so fast. That is crazy. So we're going to see it's Helmbro in the white car in the middle. He tries to defend to the right for Hagström. He goes back to the left, makes contact, does a bit of ping pong, sends Lindhoff. Oh my word. Absolutely in the air. Camera goes flying, and this is a view a little bit further back. This might be from Manson. What a flying finish there. I'm happy for Helmbro actually that he's finished off on the podium, because he did really deserve that, but almost got thrown away.
I wonder whether either Hagström or Helmbro would have won without their contact, because that was only 73 thousandths of a second at the end for Jesper Åhman, who does win the race, despite making, I think, maybe the most stops of anyone, actually, in that race. Helmbro does manage to hold on to 3rd. Henrik Lindhoff somehow is 4th. might be a story in real life. A timing line would have picked him up there, to be honest. Anyway, that is Robin Östlund in 5th place ahead of Daniel Holmer and Albin Manson, the final driver, within a second of the race win. Oliver Wallin, Jock Frisk and Matthias Strauss round out the top 10. Decent race from Strauss to get himself back in the top 10 at the end there. 11th place for Robert Eriksson ahead of Moven Axon, who finishes 12th. Magnus Hagman is 13th with that late stop. Kenneth Tier 14th ahead of Niklas Helm, Christopher Delstrand and Bjorn Broström. Oscar Fredriksson ended up one lap down after that late contact with the wall. Anders Carlson as well. Oscar Motin's late stop put him a lap down as well in 20th place. 7 laps down for Samuel Josensu, and then you get those two who really had big incidents today. Kasper Bjork, Jesper Eriksson, Mikael Sundström, Pontus Westerstedt, Cedric Holmbaum and Hakan Schott, who had that big crash, of course, on lap 28. It was Philip Hahn and Tony Ivinen and Marcus Stiller to round out the top 30, and the final two started this race were Kalle Reinström and Alexander Olsen, although neither of them made the first 15 laps of that race. Let's have a chat to the race winner, Jesper Öhman, who can now join us. Welcome in, Jesper. Good to have you with us. A very dramatic finish indeed, I think, to put it bluntly. How are you feeling after that race?
It was fun. I don't know what to say. Well, it's always fun to race Indy. This is a new stage with new drivers, all Swedish drivers. That was fun. We almost had 30 Swedish drivers show up, which I think is pretty damn good. Had a few cautions at the beginning, but well, race shaped up really well there, last 50, I would say.
I want to talk a little bit about those first few cautions, because you pitted noticeably a lot during that one. You may notice if you watch this back, we were criticising your call for pitting a lot, and we thought it would end you up in just loads of traffic all day and you would never really get out of it. You did get out of it in the end, partly because you were so quick, actually. But what was the thinking there, pitting under, I think you pitted under the first 4 cautions in a row. What was the thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, I usually have a general rule here, that is to get on pit strategy, fuel strategy, as soon as you can. Okay, we have 100 laps here today. Each stint is about 30 laps, so I figured, okay, I'll lose some positions here. I'll end up in the pack, and it's a bit risky, you know, if there's a yellow coming out or a crash, you know, in front of you. At the same time, I kind of want to be on fuel strategy as early as possible. I knew, and I know that well, this is the track where I specialize, so I knew that I could probably get around most of the field. I just needed to not be unlucky. Yes, it's true, I pitted there. Actually, one of those cautions, I hit someone. Like, there was a crash in front of me. It was a checkup, and I hit someone. I think I sent it to the wall. Not ideal, and I had to pit again to repair my front wing. But after that, I kind of decided, okay, now it's time to stop pitting all the time and try to get to the front, basically.
Well, you certainly managed that. Congratulations on winning the race, Jesper, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well. Yeah, congratulations on the win.
Thanks for broadcast.
Thanks very much, Jesper Öhman there, the winner tonight here at Indianapolis. Oliver Hagström Vigazoo is also ready to join us from 2nd place tonight. Welcome, Oliver. Good to have you with us. Tell us your perspective on those final few laps as you really came forward in those final 5, especially to nearly win that race.
Yeah, I should have got that one. It hurts a little bit, but yeah, coming from P7 to P2, I can't be not happy with that. We were a bit too conservative with strategy. I think pitting so late, we should have pitted one caution before. I think the bunch who did that were the winners in the strategy department. So, but we came through and we're there at the end to fight for the win, and that's, well, we can't ask for more, really.
Yeah, what was it a team decision? Because it ended up with your team 1, 2, and 3, the only drivers to have not pitted yet. It looked good for the team, that's for sure. But did it? You say that you might have pitted a caution earlier if you were able to do this race again. But was it a team call, or was it all of you just deciding on your own accord to stay out?
It was a team call. So we've done a lot of endurance racing, and I think that rubbed off a little bit to always stay out on track until you can't, basically. So that's take we will take from here going forward to maybe not be as conservative with the strategies, and also maybe not doing the same strategy with all 3 cars, because, well, then you can capitalize on one of the cars with trying something else. So we've have a few things we learn on the way here. So on to the next one, and we'll see if we can capitalize more on all 3 cars then.
One last thing as well. Do you think you could have won the race if you didn't have contact on the last straight to the line with Peter Helmborough?
No. I think I didn't get the slipstream enough in the final corner. I was a bit too scared to go 3 wide into T3 and lifted the throttle a little bit too much. I either should have let off more or a little bit less, because I was in a really bad positioning for the last turn, and I couldn't sort of get slipstream all the way to the line. So yeah, the race was unfortunately lost in T3 already. But yeah, if it was only 2 cars going T4, then maybe I could have had him. But with 3 cars, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and then it was like, yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
Well, it's still a second place and still points gained as well on both, actually all 3 who are ahead of you in the championship. You finished ahead of them in the race, so that is good news for you. Congratulations on second tonight, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Oliver Hagström, because you're there, the second place driver tonight in the race. Doesn't look like we're going to get to chat to Peter Helmborough by the looks of things, so that will just about do it for us here tonight. This will be the shot cam that is stuck in my mind for some time after this race, that's for sure. Contact on the front straight and Henrik Lindorff taking off on the way to the line.
Yes, it was a huge accident there for the 8s. What a shot this is to the line. Literally flying over the yard of bricks. That is quite something. And I'm sure the team are happy that he was able to get to the line and not actually really lose out any positions. But what a finish. Chaotic race. But when it calmed down and we got the side-by-side racing, the battles were insane. Those 3 wide moments into turn 3. What a race we had here. And of course, we're back to the road courses now, something a bit different, but that was great to have an oval race in the middle of the season.
Absolutely. Red Bull Ring and a return to normalcy a little bit coming up in 2 weeks' time. 8 p.m. CET, not CEST anymore, reminder. 8 p.m. CET for you on the 14th of November. Between now and then, we'll be back racing, of course, for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Oval Series. That will be taking on its only road course, so it's a little bit of an odd couple of weeks. However, we'll be back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the only road course round of that championship. I hope you can join us then, 8 p.m. CET for that. Myself and Cam will be back for that. Along with Hugo Luis, who's been behind the cameras tonight as well. A dramatic finish at Indianapolis. What more could you expect from the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series? We'll be back in a couple of weeks at the Red Bull Ring. For now, we'll leave you with the closing rung to the line. Bye for now.